All right, so what I've done here is taken all of the science communication projects, divided them up by which article they were written or filmed about, um, put in the order that they were submitted. So like number one was the very first person to submit a SciComm project. The ones in blue are the ones who submitted late. So for my March 15th midterm grades deadline, I'm sorry, March 14th, I'm going to be going over only these that were done on time at first, and then over spring break I'll be doing the blue ones. They may even be done before the end of the week, but I'm not sure. What I've done is anonymize each of them, although I have hidden columns here that tell me who was Calvio 5, right? So I anonymized each paper, I put it in OneDrive, my version of the file. So when I make edits to this, it's not going to show up on your version. So that you still have your original intact. I'll explain to you what to do with that original when it comes time to do your portfolio. So, that being said, I've got all the Calvios that were turned in on time, and I'm going to go through them all. You have to watch this whole video. You will know which one is yours. Like if you don't recognize it for some reason, holler at me and let me know. Um, and I'm going to go through each one and do like intro for this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then I'll go to background and do background for all of them. You feel me? That way you will get to see many examples of like successful or maybe not as successful intros. So you can see what to emulate or what to correct and watch out for. Because I think it can be much more helpful for you to understand the overarching concept if you see many more examples, maybe so that you can kind of average them together in your mind and have more of a prototype, as we talked about during the week before spring break, of the concepts that I want to see in your writing. All right, so with that being said, let's get started. To start with here, I'm going to look at formatting on the title page and some other formatting stuff. Some other formatting and grammar things will come up as I go throughout the sections, but I will just look at all the title pages first. Obviously, the person's name was actually here to start with, which is correct. There is a space here, which is correct. This is in bold, which is correct. All these backwards P's and things, you didn't put them there. I put them there. I see them. I make them show up so that I can see what kind of formatting you did, where the spaces are. I can see if you put double spaces or zero space where there's supposed to be one, and that kind of stuff at a glance without having to make any changes to your paper. So everybody else, listen up, because you can kind of copy what went well about this title page. I may not go into as much detail about all the same title pages because it might get repetitive. Same thing for references and citations. Okay, that's why everybody is going to have to watch the whole video, not just the parts that discuss your paper, because I'm trying to speed run this grading. So your name was here. That was great. I removed it just for the purposes of anonymity. Your title is great. It is in title case capitalization, meaning major words are capitalized, but little ones are not, like unimportant little words. Perfect. You put your affiliation perfectly correct, Department of Psychology and Counseling, University of Texas at Tyler. You put the course name, the correct prefix, correct capitalization. You put the colon, the name of the course. You put my name here correctly. You do have a space between my initials. You did put doctor. You did get my first name right, all those things. You do have a page number in the top right, and your page number is the same font as the rest of your paper. For many of you, that may not be the case. If you typed your whole paper in Times New Roman, your page number might still be in Calibri by default. It does not, when you select all the text in the document, the page number and the header don't get included. You don't have a running head, which is great. You're not supposed to have a running head, so good job there. Only issue on your title page is all of these spaces. So here's a quick hack for everybody. This is what most of us do because we don't know any better. We don't know there's a life hack for this. We go enter to put stuff at the top of the next page. And as you noticed, when I opened it on my computer, like it was not actually at the top of the next page where you probably meant for it to go. And when you do that enter method, it's very easy for things to move around. Like let's say I had to type a little bit more info on the title page or whatever, it's going to keep pushing that stuff on the next page down. There's a shortcut where we can just say, start here and anchor this stuff to the tippy top of the very next page. If you are on a Mac like me, take your Command button and your Return or Enter button, press them at the exact same time. If you're on a PC or anything that's not a Mac, you do Control Enter at the same time. If that for some reason does not work for you, if it does not immediately snap it onto the top of the next page and have a page break here, the word page break is invisible for you unless you turn on these formatting marks like I did. If that didn't work for you, what you can do is go to Insert, and if you do the classic ribbon, I know where everything is. If you do any of the other, if you keep it not like that, I don't know, the single line ribbon, I don't always know where everything is. You can search. Just do Insert Page Break, babes. Yeah, there you go. Now that's a life hack you can always use. You will never have your reference page, works cited page, whatever for your other classes thrown off by typing stuff ahead of it. That being said, we're also going to do that on references. References in APA style is supposed to be on its own page. So slap a page break on it. This has perfect APA style formatting. Good job. I don't have anything to add about that. Let's take a look at formatting everywhere else. You need a space between one blank line of space between title and author. This font looks big. Is it big? Arial is supposed to be size 11, babes. So I'm going to select all, you would select all the text in the document with Command A if you're on a Mac, Control A if you're on anything else. And it's supposed to be size 11. Doesn't matter if it's title or whatever, titles are not supposed to be bigger than anything else. But you know what, y'all? Here's like the biggest hack you could have done for formatting. Download my example paper that was made by me. Type your words into it, like in the place of my words. Ta-da, perfect formatting, as long as you don't do any copy pasting that screws it up without you fixing it later. Okay, so here's another place we need a page break. I'm just going to undo all the stuff that I did. I don't want to actually change your papers. I'm going to show you how to change your papers. There's a subtle font color difference here too. You may not see this, and on light mode, you pretty much can't see it. But on dark mode, I can pretty much always clock this. This is a different color than this. This is some kind of a gray. This is actually black. All the text in your document needs to be black, except for hyperlinks can show up in their auto-formatted blue underline. That is fine. And in fact, they're supposed to. But this just didn't seem to make attempts towards APA style. Like you did, it doesn't look like you double checked anything. Your headings. This one did a good job. Headings are bold, centered. That's perfect. This one did do that part correctly. However, like every paragraph needs to be indented. You do not ever have random spaces between paragraphs. We're just like, the thing that lets us know it's a new paragraph is it being indented or having a new heading. We don't need anything extra to separate it. This is also, you're not supposed to have this extra space here either. You need a page break also. This is not called references page in APA style. Look at examples. This is also not supposed to be centered. It's a hanging indent. Google how to do a hanging indent. Okay, instead of being an asshole and saying Google it, I will show you really quickly. If you click on classic ribbon and always show ribbon, all of your clicking inside of OneDrive will look exactly like mine. First, align it to the left. Oh, it's already hanging indented. You did the hanging indent. You just centered it for some weird reason. I think it probably got centered along with the heading here or something. That happens. Title page looking perfect. Oh, there was a couple more issues on this title page I forgot about. Why a dash here, babes? It's just a blank colon. There you go. Y'all just do random punctuation on some of this title page stuff. It's fine. It's fine. It's not that serious. It's not that deep. But I'm a kind of a detail oriented person sometimes. So I'm going to, all these details are going to jump out at me. remove this space, do a page break here. Page numbers are looking good. Notice how this is centered. This ain't. Sometimes what happens is when you do this, it gets indented automatically when you make a new paragraph. And then you go, whoop, let me press the center button. Backspace it first and then center it, okay? So if you notice any alignment looking off, that's probably what happened is the auto indent. Everybody take a look at theirs. You need to indent paragraphs too. But your headings are in pretty good shape. We need a page break here. Perfect reference formatting though. Good job. Y'all are kind of killing it with the reference formatting so far. This font looks big. Is it just that I'm zoomed in? It's just that I'm zoomed in. Times New Roman 12. That's perfect. Times New Roman can be in 12. Any other fonts like Arial, Calibri have to be in 11. And if you use Lucida Sans Console, it needs to be 10. You're missing a page number. You need to insert page number. This needs to be backspaced and use a page break. This, is that centered? Yeah, it just looks weird with this indent. It looks like there might be too much space between, okay, so look at the space between two regular lines and the space between a heading and a line. It looks like it might be bigger between a heading and a line, like space between paragraphs is greater than within. It's all supposed to be the same, all the spaces. I can't tell for sure, but here's what you would do to fix that. It's a very common problem. Control A or Command A on a Mac to select all the text in the document. Then if we go to the classic ribbon, I don't know why it doesn't just always do that for me. I really wish that it did. I have to do it on every single paper. Then you go to these paragraph settings here. We go to spacing before and spacing after 0 point and line spacing double. Did that change anything? I don't think it changed anything. I think yours was fine, I guess. But just in case, everybody else, watch out for that because people will mess that up a lot. We needed a page break here, as we see. Here's what happens when you don't have one. It's looking good. What 4315? Is it business 4315? Is it computer science 4315? I'm kind of being an asshole there, but you do need to put the psych prefix. Good use of a page break, but you can remove all these other spaces too. You didn't have to do mash enter at all. You do need to put a space between my initials. We also are not supposed to start a sentence with a numeral, with numbers. So put like the in front of it in your title and you're good. Do not double space after a period. That was probably an accident, but if you turn on formatting marks like I did, you can clock those and fix them. Good job using, what is it recommending us to do here? What is this? No, I don't, why? I hate AI so much. Y'all already know I'm a big hater. This needs indented. I thought that was going to be the accessible headings thing. It was just some stupid recommendation. This needs to be in bold. This also needs to be bold. This needs to be bold. This needs to be bold, and an indent here is needed. Use a page break instead of the space here. This needs a hanging indent. It needs to be black. This actually needs to be auto formatted as a clickable hyperlink. So here's how you would do the hanging indents, and somebody else actually already had theirs. I didn't get to show it to you. Paragraph. Alignment left, indent before text is 0, special, hanging, by 0.5. Click. There you go. Okay, so that's it for formatting. Well, there might be a few things that come up like citations as I go through reading, but for now, that's it for formatting. Next, we're going to do intros. All right, friends, let's talk about intros with Oldmeadow and Coke. A lot of these have quite messy formatting. Hot tip, download my example paper, type your stuff into it without copy pasting, and you pretty much can't get it wrong. here is the literal exact perfect APA format reference. If yours does not have exactly spaces in this place, in the same places, punctuation in all the same places, etc., then it's not correct. But I'm going to go through intros. I don't know. A lot of people didn't feel ready. I don't know. I don't see this is a situation where you're kind of telling the reader how to feel. You might want to assume that the reader thinks differently than you do. So what did we share? Probably a little more isolation, probably changes to our lifestyle, probably uncertainty. That kind of stuff is stuff you might want to play on. Yeah, probably we didn't think it would last as long as it has been lasting. Okay, the masking thing is memorable. Yes. Yes. Okay. Affect someone's approachability. All right, this is good. I'm noticing delivery wise, there's like a lot of sentence fragments and stuff, so be careful with those. I'm probably going to go ahead and put in a B for delivery because usually if you do that a bunch of times in the first paragraph, it's going to happen a lot more too. Content wise, good though. Oh, you know what? Actually, we need to introduce the racial profiling angle. Is it in your background? We will get there. I will leave this for now. Also, you need to pick a real title, and you have a lot of formatting issues on your title page, like a ton. But my little intro that was about a different article before this should address what goes on pages. Okay. Beautiful. I think am I seeing a font color change? No, that's just because I'm sitting outside. That's a beautiful intro. I would use it as an example. Fabulous. Love to see it. Formatting. Lots of issues here. Title page is pretty good. It's got a few things. This should be, you need a real title that you make up. It needs to be Department of Psychology and Counseling. Page number is an issue. Because it may be a different font or size than the rest of it. Everybody check that. Otherwise, your page number might be fine. Just check it for sure. Why is this bold, babe? Like, who taught you a whole paragraph should be bold and not indented? That sounded condescending. Don't mean to be that much of an asshole. Sorry. I'm really tired. I need to sound more respectful and have a bit of more of a filter on my mouth. Let me try to empathize with you. You were in a hurry. You just wanted to be freaking done with this paper and you didn't really care to check a lot of things. I mean, that's a guess. I've been there. I'm projecting, whatever. There's font differences. There's font color differences. There's capitalization issues. There's not a hanging indent here. It's actually pretty good as far as content of the reference, though. You did a good job with page breaks, too. There's an interesting pattern of strengths and weaknesses here. Lots of typos, which again suggests like maybe didn't take the time to proofread or wrote this on something where you didn't realize you didn't have your spell check enabled. Like sometimes people working on their iPads do that. Hindering the receptiveness of an individual in regard to social cues and expression. That sounds really confusing. Receptiveness of the observer or of the masker that is being observed. It seems like maybe you went out of your way to use synonyms and it's not quite scanning. Accusations, accusing is a bit redundant. I recommend overall, before I spend too much time being very nitpicky on a lot of wording, take this to the writing center to improve readability and grammar and flow. This study, what study? You haven't cite, you need to cite when you say stuff like that. Same thing for the previous ones. If you didn't do that, you need to. This is a sentence fragment. Okay, I said I was going to quit it with delivery. We definitely have some delivery. APA format is not it either. Nobody does the accessible headings, I guess. Delivery struggling a bit. Originality, though, I can tell those are your words, though. I can appreciate that. I do actually prefer to see something like this than to prefer to see something that I worry is like Chat GPT. Okay. There's already kind of method detail. We don't have background, friend. That seems to be entirely missing. I don't give Fs for things that are actually turned in, but that one is not there. Intro, yeah, but it needs citations. It's got the content it needs to have, though. I'm not gonna, the citation part's already covered in the APA format thing. Our second one had beautiful APA format. First one, how do I feel about that? How many issues? Oh, yeah, that one was all over the place. This was originally PDF. Don't do that. Messy. I don't know who taught you to turn in PDFs, but I want things that I can edit and add comments to in a way that you can open on anything that can open a .docx. If I put comments on something in Adobe, you're not going to be able to see them if you open it in literally anything else. If it's not Adobe. And if you open it in your browser or whatever, it's a mess. It's so much harder to do anything with PDFs. That's the point of them. Like you want a contract to be a PDF, so you know somebody didn't edit it, but like assignments, not so much. We got some format issues off the bat. We need page breaks. We need to make sure the information that goes on our title page. We need now a lot of this formatting you might have actually done right on the Word doc when it got translated to PDF and then back to a Word doc like I had to do. It probably got really goofed up. Spacing is way too big in places. It's real off. Everybody select all text and document. I just did this with Command A. If you're on not a Mac, you can do it with Control A. At the same time, you go to paragraph here, set before and after to 0, set line spacing to double for everything, including references. Whoa, our paper just got quite a bit smaller when I did that, didn't it? So look out for that. You and everyone else test that as well. I didn't check that on everyone's. Very strong delivery so far, and you included everything that I asked for you to include. So even though format is kind of a mess, I don't remember delivery for that one. I'll look at it later. We have a good intro. We have sketchy format. Let's look all the way to the reference page. Yeah, that's sketchy. Delivery is good though. Originality is good. The effects that masks have. A way shorter way of saying that is effect of mask on blank. So you might want to try to word things more concisely like that. You need to use title case capitalization. You need a space here. You need to put your full affiliation, including the department. You need to capitalize and punctuate this exactly like my example. You need to use a page break here. You need to learn how to center stuff, which is by using the center button. Okay. Don't be just putting random, that's just a mess to put spaces everywhere to try to make that happen. And I feel bad for you that you didn't know there was a way quicker hack for that, I think. Or was this one that started as a PDF? No. Also, your name is here. It's not supposed to be. I replaced your name with Oldmeadow 16. Fix it. Take your name out of headers. We don't do that in APA. We do it in MLA probably, which is where you got that from your English classes. Okay, that's great. Yeah, that's really what I'm looking for. Y'all are killing intros so far on this. I'm really proud of y'all. Uh-oh, PDF. We've already been through why that's a problem. It's not the School of Education and Psychology, it's the Department of Psychology and Counseling. Y'all might have looked at an example that was like the wrong example that had corrections on it and then didn't look at the corrections. Don't use contractions in formal writing. You need to fully spell stuff out. Is there? Yeah, there is a racial profiling angle. Sure, that's good. I'm not sure why you did this with tracking changes turned on. Go ahead and accept on your paper. Click. There's usually an accept all, like if you drop down, there's an option that should say accept all changes and stop tracking. That's what you need to do. Or literally, I think I did that. I think I just selected everything and then clicked accept. Make sure tracking changes is turned off. I know it's all new text because I know that there was not an essay here before you wrote it. Tracking changes is to show me after you have a full draft, what did you take out of it and put into it when you're making the second draft for your science communication project for your portfolio at the end of the semester. I'm tired. This time change really it's got me struggling. So I'm wordsing poorly sometimes. Okay, we got a lot of formatting issues. Why is your spacing different here? Why is the color different? Actually, that's just me being outside. Just kidding, there's not a color difference. There's definitely a spacing difference. That's a way too big of an indent, friend. It's only supposed to be half an inch. You did a good job using a page break. What else we got going on? Weird though, that's weird. Let me read your intro real quick. I might say mitigation measures because the US really never did lockdown anywhere. Like some places did, where you literally had to like show papers to travel places. Right, a lot of us did that. We had that long spring break. So lockdown is like not a good word for what the US did, but it does cause people to remember things differently, like a lot scarier than they were, I think, about being locked. Dream for any entry, yeah. A lot of us really did not struggle socially during that time. We may have flourished in that environment. You might want to say may, because there's a lot of studies suggesting that the important information really is any. This is good. Did you include the racial profiling angle? It at least needs to show up in background. I'll put a question mark here and reevaluate when I read the backgrounds. Speaking of, let's do backgrounds. Let's do it. This is a sentence fragment. This is also. It's true. I mean, but also masks have been a thing before 2020. COVID is SARS 2. SARS 1 happened in 2014. Swine flu happened in like 2008. And there were mitigation things back then, especially SARS in Asia was a big deal. It never really took off here in 2014. They used hella masks in Asia then and kind of ever since. So that's really a very Western bias to say like, this is new. We don't know a lot about masks because, yeah. Anyways, so you might have overstated that just a little bit. I'm being a little nitpicky there. Instead of using this slash, commit to a word, one or the other, or use a coordinating conjunction to connect them. This is another sentence fragment. You're doing lots of sentence fragments. That's going to be, yeah, we already did the B for delivery. I'm going to quit harping on that then. Sorry. We shouldn't have to do an as I said before. Mm. don't know what this means. I don't feel like it is supported from the article. I would just so you need like really a whole section of background, not just a sentence. You need to, oh, this is background. I'm ridiculous. Okay. There are studies about it, but okay, yeah, you're fine. This is fine background. This part doesn't make sense. So here's paragraph structure that I think everybody should be following delivery-wise. Topic sentence, conclusion sentence, evidence sentences that explain more details in between. Topic sentence should say like, previous studies have evaluated a little bit about judgments of mask wearers and reading people's emotions, whatever other thing. A bunch of stuff in between. Conclusion should be like, however, what those studies didn't look at was blank to set the stage for the next section coming up, which is about Oldmeadow and Coke, which you haven't cited. Oh, you do here. Okay. Instead of just saying first study of this research, say Oldmeadow and Coke conducted a study to blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's how I would do that. This citation is super not anything close to APA style. It's just kind of random. It's one word, Oldmeadow. There shouldn't be italics. There needs to be a space between authors and year. Or, I'm sorry, a comma between authors and year. So, okay, you have the concepts that need to go in background. I was just having delivery issues with it, which we already know. Now, have you mentioned racial profiling though? That's like a key hypothesis. You did not mention it, so that's where B is going to come into either intro or background. It really doesn't matter hugely either one, because that needs to show up in one or the other of those. This is good structure because you begin with something really broad. Here's some good things. However, here's some bad things. And then we get really specific about the potential bad things. Then we talk about what remains, what was left out, what is not known. Why did Oldmeadow and Coke have to come in here and do this? So that's beautiful. That's really what I'm looking for. Wonderful delivery. I'm gonna go ahead and do the, hang on, I'm getting these confused. Yeah, number 10. Number 10, you got a delivery. Bro, that is, bro, I don't know who you are actually. I've anonymized these. I have it like hidden here, but I actually don't remember who any of these are, which is good because it could help me prevent any bias. So you basically you had very little background, I think, if this is the one I'm thinking of. No, studies is background. No, actually, you don't have a background section at all. Ah, no, you gotta do the previous studies thing. I already said that. I already found that. I need to keep it moving. Lauren, get it together. This is a weird color. It's in like a gray. You have so many formatting issues. They're all over the place. Not trying to be an asshole in how I say that. I'm just saying you might want to check literally everything by an example that I provided. It's nice and broad. However, here's the goal of what study? You can't just say this out of nowhere. What study? That's where you say Oldmeadow and Coke and cite them. And I still don't know. Why are you just saying this study out of nowhere? Like I'm supposed to know that there's a study we're going to be talking about. Make it like, however, what was unknown at that time was blank. So Oldmeadow and Coke did blah, blah, blah to address that. Here was their primary goal, etc. Okay. So yeah, our citation issues already covered in APA style. The content was good in the background, but formatting was what kind of suffered there. Did you use accessible headings? Sure, no. Nope. But I'm being generous. I could put an F on all those, but I'm not, because apparently since like nobody did it, it lets me know that me just posting the tutorial maybe was not enough to get my point across of my expectations there. Even though all of y'all said, I'm going to check blah, 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 when you wrote about accessibility on your SciComm rubric assignment, like literally none of you did what you said you were going to do. So that's interesting. I think there was a disconnect there where that assignment didn't accomplish what I wanted it to. That is important information for me to know. I'm not trying to bitch about it. I'm trying to reflect. Beautiful, very concise, succinct, beautiful delivery. How's your APA format? Let me go ahead and get a read on that. It's a little weird. We got some issues. Not perf. It's all right. I don't know what it is about y'all Oldmeadow and Coke writers. Doing really solid on intros. People who wrote about other articles really puffed up their intros. But y'all are not killing APA format, whereas other people who wrote about different articles did. I wonder if there's some kind of bias in like people who write better or have more attention to detail about formatting are more likely to pick XYZ articles. I don't know. That makes me curious now whether there is some kind of a relationship there. What am I talking about? What are we doing? We're doing number 18, backgrounds. I love that you said airborne, friend, because it is airborne. The way to not get sicknesses that have to do with breathing, respiratory illnesses, is to not breathe them in the first place. Those flimsy paper surgical masks help some because they prevent droplet spread. And those little fabric masks we had back when the government lied and said you don't need a mask because they were trying to save them off the healthcare workers. And then they told us we do need masks, and everybody was like sewing them themselves and selling them and shit. Anyways, back when that happened, we were wearing like subpar masks. We were still somewhat preventing spread. It was helping some. It's better than nothing. However, airborne, you need a better fitting type of a mask. If you've seen what I wear in a classroom, it has like a foam seal here that has like a wire in it or a little flexible thing in it where it gets a great seal around my face. It's not fogging up my glasses. It's not coming out the sides. It's also polarized, so even small particles that should be theoretically too big to get through the mask are like trapped by it. Or I'm sorry, it should be too small and you should be able to breathe them through the mask. The chemistry, the polarity traps them almost like in an electromagnetic way. Fun fact. So I have not had a cough, a chest cold type thing since April 2019. I still mask in indoor spaces. I know it's weird. I get dirty looks for it. I've even been kicked out of stores for it. There's like a store that had a no masks policy from the beginning of the pandemic. Real backward stuff here in Gladewater, but don't care. I love not being kept awake from a cough. So that's me in my life. Anyway, I just appreciate that you said airborne because even the CDC won't tell you outright because it's a word that panics people. Measles is airborne. We have a measles outbreak. Somebody can breathe in the room, leave hours later, you can breathe in that room and you catch it. COVID's the same way, actually. So, you know, it's not just being within 6 feet of people. Anyway, I like to do some science education while I'm doing this stuff, while I'm doing this grading. Face mask, more trustworthy. All right, you said all the things that need to be said here. Let me move on. Hey, leave it. Yes. Puppies are digging. They're not supposed to be doing that. I just filled in a hole. Just used 6 bags of topsoil the other day to fill in a bunch of holes. It's supervision instead of topsoil. That's what I need. People do that. That's true. Trustworthiness, mouth. Excuse me. Yeah, that's great. Said all the things that need to be said in a background section. Whoa, it was supposed to be tab. And you said it well. Formatting's a little janky. Into the accessible headings, you have great delivery and good originality from what I can tell, though. So, let's get method sections now. You do need to cover both studies. They didn't pull the people from a website. I mean, did they? Did they recruit the people online? Now you got me questioning. I gotta check the details on methods and results sometimes. A lot of the other things I remember off the dome because I've been teaching these articles for years. Recruited their website. Okay, I should have just trusted you. Should have just trusted you. You're right. You're right. My bad. No. Oh, you are confused, my friend. No. What do you mean they were all 40 in the study? You said there were 240. Okay, friends, you got a big bunch of confusion here. There's two sets of people. One of them are the stimuli in the study, and the other are the participants. The first set of people come from something called the Chicago Face Database. They did not talk to or recruit these people in a study. These are photographs. That's how those people were in the study. Their photos exist in something called the Chicago Face Database that other researchers created. They took a bunch of pictures of people with neutral faces, the same people smiling, doing other expressions, blah, 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 for researchers to use as stimuli in studies to show people. The 40 people wearing the white shirt and half of them black and half of them white and blah, 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 in front of a white background, those were the faces, not the people actually in the study. The 240 people who were recruited from a website are the participants. They were not standing in front of a white background. They weren't photographed. They looked at the photographs. I need you to be very clear about distinguishing between the observers and the stimuli they were observing. What does a 2x2 design mean? What do you mean doing mask versus no mask? You didn't say jack about a mask before now on who's it on? The observers, the photographs, how they put it on there. They photoshopped on pictures. Okay, that's what happened. Instead of using this were shown language, let's try to use active voice where we say who directly did what, not this was done to somebody, these were shown to somebody else by someone else. We say participants then viewed blah, blah, blah. What did they look at? Okay, so in study two, did you even say this was the second study and then study two? No, you didn't. Two different images on the mask. This makes it sound like they're at the same on there at the same time. Some of the masks are weird with the offset smile or a little drawn on centered smile. Some of them are not. They also repeated having the faces being presented first without the mask. They repeat. Don't talk about the 2x2 thing. It's also like a 2x4 by blah, 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 freaking blah. It's not just 2x2. That is the levels of variables in an ANOVA. Do you know what that means? You don't know what that means. Your audience doesn't know what that means. Skip it. It's stat stuff. There weren't other gender identities, babe. They only have male and female faces. They were literally split down the middle. As far as, okay, there's a lot of misunderstandings here. This was difficult. Method is where I'm seeing people who probably have a lot less experience reading research articles. That's why you get to redo these things. We have to learn and grow and replace our original grade. These participants then viewed 40 faces. How am I saying that to put it in active voice? In white t-shirts, highest and lowest trustworthiness faces with a norming data. Do your normies audience know what norming data is? For those of you who don't know, it means back when some other researchers created this database of photographed faces, they had a whole bunch of people rate them on a cajillion different things, like how trustworthy do these people look? That was a completely other study a long ass time ago with different people, different researchers. When these researchers, Oldmeadow and Koch 2021, used these photos, they chose specific photos from the database because some of them already had been marked on average by like hundreds of other people as being looking more trustworthy or looking less trustworthy. So they picked the highest and the lowest trustworthy faces. They didn't want any medium ones in the middle. They wanted the real shady, suspicious looking people and the real trustworthy looking people. We don't do this. Don't do the 2x2x2, blah, blah, blah. Yes. Yes. sure. Yep. Okay, that's pretty good. Study 2. What's different? Yes, they did weird smiles drawn on them. I'm gonna be a little generous about the 2 by 2. You know what? That gets a B for that. You can remove that and it'd be an A. Simple change. Mm, not how trustworthy they look. True. What about in study? Oh, you do have study 2. The little half smirk mask. Yeah. Okay. You know what? You did a good job describing method. Delivery is, why did I put an M? My God, I am tired. Delivery, though, it's like almost every sentence has some issues in it. That is a problem. But it's a fixable one. So it's a growth moment. I would be careful of the passive voice. A lot of these are active voice. They're researchers used, blah, blah, blah. A lot of times people will go, participants were shown blankety blank. Okay. But you did active voice in a lot of places, not in others, like participants who were shown, blah, blah, blah. Do you have a study 2 section? You already mentioned study 2. But you really haven't described that there are 2 studies within the study. That's a big omission, I think. Okay, got one method section. Some of y'all broke it up, study 1, study 2 methods separately, that's fine. Or you can put them together. Faces is randomly capitalized. That's not supposed to be capitalized. There's not supposed to be a space in a inside of a number. Front on, what does front on mean? What does it look like if they're front off? Be a little careful with your wording choice. It's okay if you use the same wording as they do, but just say you don't even have to get specific about exactly how the people were facing the pictures. And again, your audience probably doesn't know what norming data is, so you can probably describe that in a different way. Don't use contractions in formal writing. This is a run-on sentence. You need a semicolon instead of a comma here, or an em dash or a period would work. It was also looked at. That's a real awkward passive voice situation. Who looked at what? So instead say, researchers also investigated whether, blah, blah, blah. Don't double space after a period. Okay. It's pretty good. But the norming data thing and the kind of weird language about the photographs could be improved. This is not true. If you add these together, it wasn't 74 out of 251 participants. It was 74% of the participants who said they masked. Remember, this was in 2021 where everybody was doing it for the most part. You don't really need the 8 to 14 minutes thing. But it's really good. I just use a tiny bit of work about saying like where the faces came from. They selected 40 faces. Where? Right, that kind of comes out of nowhere for the reader who does who's not already in on how this study works, like I am. Oh, sectional quantitative study. Ooh, I like that you know this. I like that. Your hypothetical audience may not know that though, so we might just, I don't know, you can leave that out. Ugh. However, cross-sectional might be a limitation you bring up later. You just don't do it with that word. You could say like, they didn't follow up with people over time. They only did the study within like, 10 minutes. They don't know if these things change over time. We don't know what influenced what. We didn't do an experiment. Okay. Yes, database, randomized order, portability. Look at the 3:30 sleepies. It's only 3 o'clock. It's early. I get that. That was very thorough, friend. All right, let's do results and conclusions and we can wrap this up. Got this one. Okay. Your margin changes here, friend. This is so random. Your formatting is just all over the place. I feel like you probably just ran out of time. But you know what? Y'all don't have to do that stuff. You do not have to rush to turn in a sloppy looking product because um you can always do stuff late in my class. You were literally the seventh person out of 67 people to turn in an assignment. If you could have been the 50th, but it shows up better and I have to spend less time giving you less feedback, then everybody might be happier. You know what I'm saying? Keep that in mind if you're in a Dr. Kirby class. It may not apply to everybody else, but it works in my class. I prefer you turn in a good product than an on-time sloppy product. But there are actually still a lot of great things about this first paper. I mean, background, intro are pretty solid. It's got great originality. Capitalize black and white as races. That's kind of APA style guideline. This was, I think this one was backwards. It sounds like contradictory to the thing that you just said. Were there shared? I thought we did fine. Were any racial profiling mask things? What did the masks do? Be a lot clearer about that. For the second one, it is clearer though, like study two. There's a student who did a video on this that did a really, really good job and talking about the results, which are tricky because there's a ton of them here and there's interactions. I'm going to give you that as a guide for how to talk about these results. I need to keep puppies from digging. I gotta play with them a little bit and also like get my brain together. So I'm gonna pause this recording and come back. Okay, so I did go double check some stuff for results. Y'all stick with the results that are like in the abstract, and in the discussion. So, because you kind of said some stuff that was the opposite here. I did check that to be sure. And we're struggling with results. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This one's a good example of a results section. Oh, A, friends. These results should not be bold. This seems to contradict your previous sentence. So you might want to say race. No, that doesn't make sense. If you just take out this sentence, it's fine. Racial profiling of any. Any what? Any is an adjective, there's not a noun there. So we know we got delivery issues there sometimes. Yeah, we got a C on delivery, but we got just remove that one sentence that didn't make sense. Otherwise, your results are really solid. You need to be specific about study 1 and study 2. You're explaining why the results happened. That goes in discussion, not in results. But the information that's supposed to be there is there. It's okay, I guess. You're already explaining implications, though. Just move your implications to implications. This is a random comma. It's not supposed to be there. Study 1 and study 2. Actually, the study should be capitalized there every time you mention. When you're specifically naming, that's a proper name. Study 1. No effect of what on dominance competence? What about racial profiling? Oh, you did say that. You know what? You did what I said, where you stuck to the stuff that's in the abstract, so I can't hate it. This one goes into very good detail. So we use contractions. Lots of detail, also accurate without any of those self-contradictory statements that some of these others have shown us. It was also very comprehensive. So now we're going to wrap things up with the conclusions. From what is said from the 2 studies is that, whoa, you can just remove all that. Does your sentence make sense starting with while? Or even change while to although? Yeah, it does. So take stuff out if it doesn't add anything. Interesting. This is somehow a run-on sentence and a sentence fragment, and it's missing a period. But concept-wise, I'm digging it. Babes, why did I put a B here next to it? Where did that go? Did you mention racial profiling in this one? I don't remember. In the intro or background. Including race as a main variable. Yeah, you did. Anyway, solid conclusion as far as concepts. What perceived variables? What do you mean by that? Not that you need to give me a lot of specific limitations, but when you say something like that, I need to know what you mean by it. Okay, this whole thing, after reviewing the blah, 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 and addressing the studies provided, it needs a comma. That whole thing is called a noun absolute. The very next word after a noun absolute needs to be the noun that's doing the absolute. The noun that's doing the verb. Who's reviewing? Is it reviewing anything? I don't think so. That doesn't make sense, right? Just completely revise the structure of your sentence to avoid this kind of stuff. An increase in their what? I'm missing some info here. But this is like results. All you did was tell me results. Those are results, babe. I need, what does it mean? Why do we care? Who does it impact in the real world? What are the limitations of the study? You pretty much don't have a conclusion, but because it's there, it gets a D and not an F. And it really is not there. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah, this one's great. As far as conclusion has all the, you got to pick one. You can't do this. You can't have a section that's got just a comma separating words. That's creative though. I've never seen that. I've seen the slash, which I'm also like, you got to commit. Tell me a little bit more about implications. Like, who does this impact? Why should we care, etc. Number 18, friend. Why am I not assess your APA format, your everything else? You did use one accessible heading. Did you do others? Oh, you did the headings. Cue that Vince McMahon like meme where he's like more excited every level. If you know, you know. Oh, I meant to put the APA format on the accessibility, not the APA format, because the APA format's not A. It's actually got quite a few issues, but you did the accessible headings. Format's a mess from a PDF though. Delivery. How are we on delivery again? Oh, great. Delivery, I think is looking pretty solid. Are you digging up there? Hey, yes. Just got done playing with these little turkeys. The little demons themselves. Let me take off my blur so you can see them. I need to pay the puppy tax. They are. They're actually really good for 6-month-old puppies. Everything could be so much worse. I've had much worse dogs in my house. Okay, let me read your conclusion. Serves positively really don't reflect the real world. See, that's a good way to talk about both kind of implications and limitations wrapped together. It's beautiful. How'd you do on delivery? Did I decide that? I think it was good. I don't remember any issues. Originality is good too. We're so close. I think you mean they did the opposite. What do you mean by perceiver variables?
just a little detail missing here. All right.